Do you want to know how to get Capone? Here's how you get Capone. One of his guys pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He puts one of yours in the hospital, you put one of his in the morgue. That's how you do it. That's the Chicago way. That is one of my very favorite quotes from the film The Untouchables. On June 5th, 1931, the infamous bootlegger and gangster of Chicago, Al Capone, was indicted for tax evasion and sentenced to 11 years in prison. And although we know that his real crimes were the illegal smuggling and importation of alcohol during the Prohibition, and numerous counts of violence and murder, what many people in the world do not know is who captured and convicted this felon. And the man to whom I'm referring is Eliot Ness. Eliot Ness, the brave, humble, and little-known FBI agent who successfully captured and convicted Al Capone, will unfortunately never be as notorious as the criminal that he put behind bars. However, Ness worked behind the scenes and dedicated his time and energy, in addition to risking his life time and again, in order to bring down one of the most violent and widely known criminals of all time. And this in turn protected and saved the lives of many that might have been lost. Hi, my name is Maclane Paddock, and today I'm going to be telling all of you about the man behind the myth, about Eliot Ness. He is a very underappreciated, he has not been recognized for his work at the FBI and the agency and what he did in capturing Al Capone. We'll talk about first his early years, his education and where he got his first job, his career-oriented years, how he really worked his way up and climbed the ladder to success, and then we'll finally talk about especially his capture of Al Capone. Eliot Ness was born on April 29, 1903, to his parents Peter and Emma Ness. At age 18, he attended the University of Chicago and majored in law, commerce, and political science. In 1925, he graduated third in his class and was hired as an investigator for the Retail Credit Company. In 1927, he went to work for the United States Treasury Department, where he became an agent. In 1928, he was transferred to the Justice Department of the Prohibition Bureau. Now, the Prohibition Bureau is the forefather of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. And very soon after Eliot Ness joined the Prohibition Bureau, it was changed to its name, the FBI. After his work at the Prohibition Bureau, he was sent to Cincinnati's Justice Department, where he was responsible for locating and destroying moonshine operations in the hills and mountains of Ohio, Kentucky, and parts of Tennessee. One quote that he said while he was working there was, "Doubts raced through my mind as I considered the feasibility of enforcing a law which the majority of honest citizens did not seem to want." Now, for those of you who don't know what the Prohibition era was in our history, it was a time between 1920 and 1933 when alcohol was illegal in the U.S. And there was an outpour of protest and controversy over this and a lot of violence because of this law. After his work in Cincinnati, he was transferred one more time to Cleveland's Justice Department, where he worked for the Treasury Department's Alcoholic Tax Unit. And here, he was called to really clean up the corrupt police department there and the legal system. And with 34 agents, he did this, and in October of 1936, he brought his information in front of a jury. Now that you have all, Eliot Ness really did the dirty work before he got to achieve the success that he had. And of course, his greatest achievement and the most difficult achievement of his was the capture and conviction of Al Capone. Now, Al Capone was an extremely wealthy man, and he used his money to buy protection from policemen, politicians, and government agents. And because of this, it was extremely arduous and difficult to determine who was with Capone and who was not with him and who was trustworthy. And because of this, U.S. District Attorney George Emerson Q. Johnson, it's a mouthful, he appointed Eliot Ness, of course, to find a small team of honest and trustworthy men who he knew he could trust to find Capone. Eliot's assignment was to locate distilleries and breweries that Capone was affiliated with, and to gather evidence against Capone and his followers, associating them with breaking federal laws. By October 1836, he assembled a team of 9 agents dubbed the Untouchables, which is also the name of the film that was made after this. And they were able, and through anonymous tips, wiretapping operations, and different policemen who they were able to trust who were on the inside job, they were able to bring down Capone, and they found countless money tapping operations that he was involved with, and 19 different distilleries that unfortunately Capone was never able to be traced back to because of all the protection that he had. Capone was indicted and convicted of tax evasion and sentenced 11 years in prison on June 5th, 1931. And Elliot Ness passed away on May 7th, 1957, which is actually his anniversary of his death is 1 week from today. In conclusion, today, we've really talked about how Elliot Ness's education, his first jobs, and we've gotten a small biographical viewpoint of him. And we've also talked about, of course, the capture of Al Capone. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. And once again, Elliot Ness really worked behind the scenes and was very underappreciated for the work that he did. So to conclude, yes, it is crucial that we catch the villains and imprison the bad guys, but do not make the mistake of giving the criminals more publicity than their captors. We owe so much appreciation and gratitude to countless others who have brought down the villains and the criminals and the mobsters, and yet they remain unknown and unrecognized. Do not allow the darkness of the criminal to overshadow the light of the hero.